Today, I want to talk to you about how people really speak English in daily life. Many learners study grammar, learn new words, and even understand English when they listen or read. But when it is time to talk, they freeze. Maybe you have felt this too. You know what you want to say, but the words don't come out, or they come out too slowly. The truth is, speaking English is not about being perfect. It is not about long, difficult sentences. Real English is fast, simple, and often broken into small pieces. Native speakers use short phrases, repeat words, and focus more on meaning than on grammar. That is why in this video, I want to help you. I will share tips, real examples, and stories that will make speaking feel easier. Step by step, you will see that you can learn to talk in English with confidence, without fear, and without needing to be perfect. Chapter 1. Why talking feels different from learning. Let me start by telling you a story that might sound very familiar to you. A student named Daniel studied English for many years. He learned grammar rules, practiced vocabulary lists, and even scored well on his exams. On paper, Daniel looked like a strong English learner. But the first time he had to speak to a real English speaker, everything changed. He froze. He wanted to say something, but his mind went blank. All the grammar and vocabulary he had memorized seemed to disappear in that moment. He felt nervous, embarrassed, and unsure of himself. Daniel later told me, "I can understand English when I read it, and I even understand movies, but when it's my turn to talk, I just can't." Have you ever felt like Daniel? If you have, don't worry. You are not alone. Many learners feel this way, and there is a very good reason for it. Talking in English is very different from learning English in a classroom or from a book. When we read or write, we usually have time to think. We can pause, check spelling, look at grammar, and even change our sentences before we finish. But when we talk, everything happens in the moment. We cannot pause for 5 minutes to think of the perfect sentence. People expect answers quickly, sometimes within seconds. This is why talking feels much harder than learning. Another important difference is that spoken English is not the same as written English. In school, we often learn perfect sentences. For example, you might see a sentence like, "I am going to the supermarket this afternoon to buy some vegetables because I want to cook dinner for my family." This is a correct sentence. It is clear, complete, and well-structured. But do people actually talk like this in real life? Not usually. In everyday conversations, people prefer short, simple sentences. A native speaker might say, "I'm going to the store later. Need some veggies. Gonna cook dinner for my family." Same meaning, but shorter, faster, and less formal. This is the first big secret. People do not speak in long, perfect sentences. They speak in short pieces, sometimes even incomplete sentences. And that's okay. This is how natural conversation works. If you listen closely, you will notice that people repeat words, use simple connectors like and, but, and so, and sometimes they even stop mid-sentence and change their mind. For example, oh wait, no, never mind, I'll do it later. That may sound strange if you only studied from books, but it is very normal in real life. Let me give you another example. A book sentence might say, "It is a beautiful day today. The sun is shining and the birds are singing." But in real conversation, people would say something much simpler. "Wow, nice day. Look at the sun. Birds sound great too." Same idea, but much quicker and easier. Here comes a spike moment for you. Something to really surprise you and change how you think about English. Take this formal sentence. "Would you mind assisting me in locating the nearest post office?" That is a textbook-style sentence. It is polite, it is correct, but do people talk like this? Almost never. In real life, someone would simply say, "Excuse me, where's the post office?" See the difference? One is long and formal, the other is short and natural. This shows you that speaking English is not about sounding perfect. It's about being clear and simple. Now let's think about why this happens. When people talk, they don't have time to plan perfect sentences. Their goal is communication, not grammar. They want to share ideas quickly, so they cut words, use contractions, and speak in fragments. For example, "I don't know" often becomes "dunno." "What are you doing?" often becomes "what you doing." These shortcuts are not mistakes. They are part of natural spoken English. Daniel, the student I mentioned earlier, realized this after some practice. At first, he was always trying to speak perfectly. He wanted every sentence to look like it came from a grammar book. But this made him nervous and slow. Once he started listening more closely to real conversations, TV shows, movies, and even street conversations, he noticed how simple people actually spoke. He began to copy that style: short, clear, and direct. Over time, speaking became easier for him, and he no longer froze when talking to native speakers. So here's the lesson. When you talk in English, don't try to be perfect like in a textbook. Instead, aim to be natural. Use short sentences. Use simple connectors. Don't worry about repeating yourself. For example, instead of saying, "I would like to inform you that I cannot attend the meeting this evening because I am feeling unwell," you can simply say, "Sorry, I can't come to the meeting tonight. I'm not feeling well." Both sentences communicate the same message, but the second one is how people actually talk. The next time you watch a movie or listen to a podcast, try to notice how people speak. Pay attention to the short phrases, the repeated words, and the little connectors. You will start to see that English conversations are much simpler than you thought. And once you realize this, speaking will feel less scary. So remember, talking in English is different from learning English. It is fast, simple, and not perfect. People do not speak in long, formal sentences. They speak in short, natural ones. And the good news is, this makes speaking easier for you too. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be clear. This simple shift in thinking will make your speaking journey much more enjoyable. Chapter 2: The Rhythm and Music of English. When most learners think about English, they imagine words on a page, rules of grammar, and vocabulary lists. But English is not only about words. English has a sound, a rhythm, and even a kind of music. This is why sometimes you listen to native speakers and feel like they are singing, not speaking. The rise and fall of their voice, The way some words are strong and others are soft. The way sounds connect together. It all creates a flow that is very different from what you see in textbooks. Many learners study hard but still feel lost in real conversations because they never learn the rhythm and music of English. Think about a very common question. What are you doing? On paper, it looks clear. 3 words, all simple. But when someone says it fast, it becomes, what you doing? The words change, the sounds melt together, and the sentence feels almost like one word. A learner who only knows the written form may freeze and think, what did they just say? But once you understand that this is the natural rhythm of spoken English, it starts to make sense. People are not trying to confuse you. They are just speaking in a natural musical way. The rhythm of English comes from stress. Some words are strong, and some words are weak. For example, listen to this. I want to go to the store. The strong beats are on want, go, and store. The other words are softer and faster. This creates a rhythm like drum beats in music. If you try to make every word strong, your English will sound heavy and unnatural. But if you learn to use stress, your English will flow like music. This is why singers can make English lyrics sound so beautiful. It is because the language itself already has rhythm inside it. Many learners get frustrated because they know the words, but they cannot catch them in real conversations. The reason is simple. Native speakers often drop sounds, connect words, and speak quickly. For example, I'm going to becomes I'm gonna. Did you becomes didja. Don't know becomes dunno. At first, these changes feel strange, but they are normal in everyday English. If you only listen for the full, clear form, you will miss the meaning. But once you train your ear to the connected sound, you will suddenly hear it everywhere. It is like learning to hear a hidden melody. Let me tell you a story about a learner I once knew. Her name was Maria, and she had studied English for many years. She was very good at reading and writing, and she even understood grammar better than many native speakers. But when she listened to people talk, she felt lost. She told me, "It sounds like noise. I know they are speaking English, but I cannot find the words." She almost gave up learning. One day I asked her to stop focusing on words and just listen for rhythm. We listened to a simple sentence. How are you doing today? At first, she tried to catch every word, but I asked her to just copy the rhythm. Da 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 da. She repeated it like music. After some practice, she started to hear the patterns in conversations. She realized English was not just a language, it was a song. From that day, she stopped feeling lost. She had found the music. Here is a moment for you to hear the difference yourself. Listen slowly. Do you want to go out tonight? Each word is clear. Now listen naturally. Do you want to go out tonight? The sentence is faster, the sounds are connected, and some letters disappear. If you only expect the slow version, you will feel surprised. But once you train with the natural version, you will recognize it instantly. This is the spike moment that many learners experience. The surprise of hearing how much English changes in real life compared to the classroom. The beauty is that you do not need to be perfect to sound natural. You just need to feel the rhythm. Start by listening to short clips of English, maybe movies, songs, or podcasts. Don't worry about every word. Instead, clap your hands to the beat of the sentence. Repeat the sentence with the same stress. Record yourself and compare. Soon you will notice that your English feels lighter, faster, and easier. The truth is, English is not only words, it is rhythm, stress, tone, and music. If you understand this, speaking becomes more natural. You do not need to fight for every sound. You only need to ride the wave of rhythm, like a surfer riding the sea. And once you do that, you will feel that English is not something strange. It is something alive, something flowing, and something you can join. Chapter 3. Everyday phrases people use. When learners first begin to study English, they often believe they must learn thousands of individual words. They open dictionaries, they memorize long lists, and they feel proud when they know difficult words like nevertheless or consequently. But then something strange happens. When they try to speak to real people, those big words do not come to their tongue. Instead, they freeze, searching their mind for the right vocabulary, but the conversation has already moved on. Why? Because in real life, people do not always use big, difficult words. Most of the time, they use simple, everyday phrases, fixed expressions that repeat again and again in conversations. These small phrases are the secret keys to sounding fluent. Think about it. When you meet someone, do you hear them say, "How are you on this fine afternoon?" Not really. More often you hear, "How's it going?" or "What's up?" These are short, easy phrases that carry big meaning. They are not about the exact words, but about the feeling and the connection. If you learn these chunks, whole pieces of language, you can speak faster and more naturally. Instead of building every sentence from zero, you pull ready-made phrases from your memory. It is like having small tools in your pocket that you can use at the right time. Take another example. In many conversations, people say, "You know what I mean?" This phrase does not really ask for an answer. It is a way of checking connection. It invites the listener to agree, to feel close, to nod along. If you only learn the words you, know, what, I mean, you will never see the true power of the phrase. But if you learn the phrase as one single chunk, you can use it naturally. You finish a sentence and add, "You know what I mean?" Suddenly your English sounds real, like the English you hear in movies and daily life. And then there is, "That's great." This phrase is everywhere. Someone tells you good news, and you answer, "That's great." You can also say, "That's awesome," or "That's nice." These little expressions are emotional shortcuts. They help you show feeling without searching for complicated words. Imagine your friend says, "I got a new job." You do not need a long sentence like, "I am very happy to hear about the fact that you now have new employment." Number. You just say, "That's great," and your message is clear and friendly. Now let me tell you a story about a student I once knew. His name was Ahmed. He struggled with speaking for years. He tried to memorize long vocabulary lists. He even learned very advanced words, but when he spoke, he sounded robotic and unnatural. One day, he changed his method. He stopped memorizing words one by one and started learning whole phrases. Every day he collected 5 simple expressions like no problem, sounds good, I don't know, let's go, and that's it. He practiced saying them out loud, just as he heard them from movies and conversations. At first, it felt too simple, almost childish. But then something magical happened. When people spoke to him, he had ready answers. He did not freeze anymore. He could reply quickly and smoothly. After only a few weeks, he felt fluent, not because he knew more words, but because he knew the right phrases. His confidence grew, and his English started to flow. This is the power of chunks. When you learn phrases, you stop building sentences like a builder with individual bricks. Instead, you start using blocks that are already strong and complete. It saves time, it saves energy, and it makes you sound natural. Here comes a spike moment for you. I want you to try it with me right now. I will say a phrase, and you repeat it aloud. Ready? How's it going? Say it with me. How's it going? Good. Now another one. You know what I mean? Say it aloud. You know what I mean? Excellent. And one more. That's great. Repeat. That's great. Perfect. By speaking these phrases aloud, you are training your mouth and your memory at the same time. You are building habits. Soon, these expressions will come out of your mouth automatically, without thinking, and that is what fluency really means. Being able to speak without stopping to think too much. So, the next time you study English, do not worry about learning every big word. Focus instead on small, powerful phrases that people actually use. Collect them from movies, from conversations, from songs. Write them down. Practice them aloud. Repeat them until they feel like your own. If you do this, you will be surprised at how quickly your English improves. You will sound natural, confident, and fluent, just like Ahmed did, and just like many successful learners before you. Chapter 4: Mistakes People Make and Why They're Normal. One of the biggest fears English learners have is the fear of making mistakes. Maybe you have felt this too. You know some words, you know some grammar, but when it's time to speak, you stop yourself. You think, what if I say it wrong? What if people laugh? What if they don't understand me? This fear is powerful, and it can keep you silent even when you have something important to say. But here is a truth that may surprise you. Even native speakers make mistakes all the time, and they are still understood, respected, and loved. Let me give you some examples. In school, many of us learn that the correct way to say something is, "He and I went to the store." But listen to everyday conversation, and you will often hear a native speaker say, "Me and him went to the store." Is it grammatically correct? Number? Do people use it? Yes, every day. Another example. The rule says we should say, "I don't have any money." But many natives say, "I ain't got no money." Double negative, broken grammar, yet everyone understands. These examples show that perfect grammar is not the same as real communication. People bend the rules, people break the rules, but the message still gets across. So why are learners so afraid of mistakes? Part of it comes from school. In school, teachers often mark your errors with a red pen. One wrong letter, and you lose points. This trains you to believe that mistakes are bad, dangerous, something to avoid at all costs. But in real life, mistakes are not red marks. Mistakes are bridges. They are proof that you are using the language, that you are trying, that you are alive in the conversation. A mistake means you are moving forward. No mistake means no action, and no action means no progress. I once knew a student named Lena. She loved English songs, and she dreamed of speaking fluently. But she was shy. She always worried that people would laugh at her accent or grammar. One day, she had to guide a group of tourists in her city. She was nervous, but she had no choice. English was the only way to communicate. So she spoke. She said things like, "You go left street," and "We now walk fast." Her grammar was broken, her sentences were short, but her eyes were bright. Her voice was clear, and her message was strong. At the end, one of the tourists said, "Thank you, your English is very good." Lena was shocked. She thought she had made too many mistakes, but the truth was, her confidence and effort mattered more than her grammar. She was understood, and that was the real success. This brings us to something very important. Confidence is more important than perfection. Imagine two learners. The first learner knows many grammar rules but is afraid to speak. The second learner makes grammar mistakes but speaks with energy, smiles, and gestures. Who do you think people will enjoy talking to more? The second learner. Why? Because language is about connection, not about rules. People care more about the message than the grammar. If you wait until your English is perfect, you will never speak. But if you start now, even with mistakes, you will grow stronger every day. Here's a spike moment for you. I want you to take a deep breath and repeat this with me. My mistakes are proof that I am learning. Say it out loud. Again. My mistakes are proof that I am learning. Feel the power in those words. Every time you say something wrong, it is not a failure. It is a step forward. Every mistake is a teacher showing you the path. Without mistakes, you cannot improve. With mistakes, you are alive in the process. Think about babies learning to walk. Do they fall? Yes. Do they cry? Sometimes. Do they stop trying because they are not perfect? Never. They fall, they get up, and each fall is part of learning. Speaking English is the same. If you fall with your words, it only means you are practicing. Soon, your steps will be stronger. So the next time you feel afraid, remember this. Even native speakers say things like ain't, gonna, and me and him. They are not perfect, and yet they are fluent. You do not need perfection to be respected. You need courage to open your mouth, to try, to make mistakes, and to keep going. The more you practice, the more natural your English will become, and little by little, without even noticing, your mistakes will become fewer and your confidence will become greater. Mistakes are not your enemy. They are your best friends. They show that you are in the game, not sitting on the side. They prove that you are alive in English, that you are moving forward. So smile at your mistakes, welcome them, and keep speaking. Because fluency is not about being perfect, it is about being brave. Chapter 5. How to practice talking every day. Many learners believe that they cannot practice speaking English unless they have a teacher or a partner. They wait and wait for the perfect moment, the perfect friend, or the perfect class. But the truth is, you can practice speaking every single day, even if you are alone. The key is not to wait for opportunities, but to create them. If you practice a little every day, your English will grow naturally, like a plant that receives water and sunlight. Let me show you how. One of the simplest ways is to talk to yourself. Yes, it might sound strange at first, but it works. Imagine you are standing in front of a mirror in the morning. You look at your reflection and say, "Good morning. Today I will go to work. I feel a little tired, but I will try my best." These are simple sentences, but they train your mouth to move in English. Every time you speak aloud, you build confidence. You also hear yourself, which makes your brain more comfortable with the sound of English. I once knew a learner named Sarah who was too shy to speak to anyone. But she made a deal with herself. Every night, she would tell her mirror 3 sentences about her day in English. After a few months, she felt brave enough to talk to her classmates. Practicing with herself gave her the courage to face others. Another powerful method is to record your voice. Many learners avoid this because they are afraid of how they sound. They think, "My accent is bad," or "I sound strange." But recording is a mirror for your voice. It shows you your progress. Start small. Record yourself saying, "Hello, my name is..." Then listen. The first time, you may feel uncomfortable, but the second time, you will hear areas to improve. Over time, you will also hear how much better you become. Recording turns your practice into a journey you can track, step by step. And what about practicing with other people? If you can join a club or a small group, that is amazing. Many cities have English clubs or online communities where people meet to talk. Imagine walking into a small cafe where learners gather once a week. You sit down, order tea, and share a story about your week in English. Everyone makes mistakes, everyone laughs, but everyone learns together. Even if there are no clubs near you, you can find partners online. A short video call with a friend from another country can give you practice that no textbook can. But don't think you always need formal groups. You can practice in small moments of daily life. I knew a student named Kamal who practiced English at bus stops. He would smile at strangers and say, "Hello, how are you today?" Sometimes people answered, sometimes they didn't. But each time, he gained courage. One day, a tourist asked him for directions. He replied in simple English, and they understood. That small success gave him energy to keep going. He told me, "Now I feel the world is bigger, and I can connect with anyone." His story shows that opportunities are everywhere if you are willing to take a small risk. Another excellent method is shadowing. This means listening to English and repeating it right away, almost like an echo. You can do this with songs, movies, or podcasts. For example, you hear someone say, "What are you doing?" and you repeat immediately, "What are you doing?" Then you copy their tone, their speed, their rhythm. At first, it feels difficult, but soon it becomes fun. Shadowing is like singing along with English. It teaches your mouth and your ear at the same time. Many successful learners say shadowing is the practice that made the biggest difference in their fluency. Now comes the spike moment. I want you to stop just listening and start doing. Right now, wherever you are, I challenge you. Say one English sentence aloud. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about mistakes. Just open your mouth and speak. For example, say, "I am learning English today." Go ahead. Say it out loud. Did you do it? Good. You have just practiced speaking. This small action may seem simple, but it is powerful. If you say one sentence every day, in a month, you will have spoken 30 sentences. In a year, more than 300. Imagine the growth you will feel. The secret is not long hours of study, but small daily practice. Talk to yourself, record your voice, join clubs, find a partner, chat with strangers, and try shadowing. Each of these methods adds a piece to your fluency puzzle. And most importantly, don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is now. Open your mouth, take a breath, and let English come out. Because speaking is not something you prepare for endlessly. It is something you do. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. So practice every day in small ways, and you will discover that your English voice is stronger, clearer, and more confident than you ever imagined. Chapter 6. Thinking in English like people do. When most learners begin their English journey, they rely on translation. They hear a sentence in English, translate it into their own language, think of an answer in their language, then translate it back into English. It feels safe, but it is also slow. Imagine trying to have a conversation while doing this. By the time you finish translating, the topic has already changed. Real English speakers do not translate. They think directly in English. That is why they can speak quickly and naturally. If you want to sound fluent, you must train your mind to think in English too. This idea may sound impossible at first. After all, your brain is used to your native language. But thinking in English is not magic. It is a habit, and like any habit, it grows step by step. Start small. Do not try to think about big, complicated ideas. Begin with simple thoughts. For example, when you feel hungry, say in your mind, "I am hungry." When you plan to go out, think, "I will go to the shop." These short sentences are like seeds. The more you plant them in your mind, the stronger your English thinking will grow. Let me share a story about a learner named Yasmin. She used to translate every sentence. Whenever someone spoke to her in English, she froze because the translation took too long. She almost gave up. Then she decided to try something different. Every day she chose 3 moments to think in English. In the morning, when she brushed her teeth, she thought, "I am brushing my teeth." At lunch, she thought, "This food tastes good." At night, she thought, "I am tired. I want to sleep." These sentences were simple, but they changed her life. After a few weeks, she noticed something amazing. When her teacher asked her a question, her answer came out faster. She did not translate. The words just appeared. Little by little, Yasmin's mind switched to English. She told me, "It feels like I have a new voice in my head. Now, let's have a spike moment together. I want you to practice thinking in English with me right now. Ready? Close your eyes for a second and imagine your day. Now follow me. Think this thought in English. I am watching a video. Say it in your mind. Good. Now another. I am learning English. Excellent. One more. I can speak. Did you feel it? You just thought directly in English. It may seem small, but this is exactly how you train your brain. The more you do it, the less you will depend on translation. Another way to build this habit is to describe what you see around you. If you are sitting in your room, look around and think in English. There is a table. The window is open. I see my phone. If you are outside, you can think, the bus is coming. The sun is hot. People are walking. These thoughts are simple, but they keep your brain active in English. Over time, your inner voice becomes more and more English, until it feels natural. Of course, this is not easy in the beginning. Your old habit of translation will pull you back. But remember, even 1 minute of thinking in English is a success. Do not expect perfection. Expect progress. And progress comes from practice. Every day, choose small moments, while walking, eating, or waiting, to think in English. These short exercises will build your new habit, just like lifting small weights makes your muscles stronger. Thinking in English also helps with speaking. If your mind is already full of English thoughts, words will come out faster when you talk. You will not need to pause or translate. Instead, you will respond naturally. This is why advanced speakers often look so confident. Their minds are trained to live in English, not to step out and translate. Now, as we come to the end of this journey, let us connect all the lessons together. Real talking in English is not about big words or perfect grammar. It is about simple words, spoken with rhythm and music. It is about using everyday phrases like, "How's it going?" or "That's great." It is about making mistakes proudly and learning from them. It is about practicing every day, even in small ways, talking to yourself, recording your voice, shadowing, or speaking to others. And finally, it is about thinking in English, step by step, until the language becomes part of your daily life. When you bring all these parts together, simple words, rhythm, phrases, confidence, practice, and thinking, you discover that English is not far away. It is already inside you, waiting to grow. The journey is not about perfection. The journey is about action. Every sentence you speak, every mistake you make, every phrase you learn, every thought you think, that is your progress. That is fluency in motion. So as you finish this chapter, I want you to remember one thing. You do not need to wait. You can begin right now. Think in English, speak in English, live in English. Step by step, day by day, you will find that English is no longer just a subject you study. It is a language you use, a voice you own, and a part of who you are. Now you see how people really talk in English. It is not about being perfect or knowing every grammar rule. It is about practicing, using simple phrases, and building your confidence step by step. Mistakes are not a problem. They are proof that you are learning and moving forward. If this video gave you new ideas, make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next lessons. Give this video a like to let me know you enjoyed it, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me, which part of speaking English do you find the hardest? Thinking in English, finding words, or speaking without fear? I read every comment, and your answers will guide me in making the next videos for you. Together, we can keep learning, keep practicing, and keep growing in English.